Hola! Wish to tell you what, it's such a good day. All that CO2 feeding our plants. Sky is blue, and most of us have clean water. Except for a few folks on the St. Lawrence, our native cousins, and you know, our wildlife around Vancouver Island, where they're dumping raw sewage into the oceans that nobody cares about. So, Western separation, I'm pretty excited. And the biggest thing I'm excited about, I'm just hoping that it doesn't get hijacked by legal society. I'm hoping that the grassroots folks of Alberta and Saskatchewan, I don't know what Manitoba's up to, but I'm hoping the grassroots folks of Alberta, Saskatchewan can, I mean, people aren't stupid. People are pretty smart. And, you know, you get legal persons into the mix, and they tend to cloud stuff, and not so much just on purpose, but that's how they were taught to think. That's how they were trained to think, right? And like, I like listening to this one guy's vlog. He's a lawyer out of Montreal, or he used to be one, or whatever. And I enjoy listening to him because he likes to break down cases and what he thought. And it's something I had mentioned before, where he was saying he'd eat his underwear or his hat or something. You know, if remember that kid with the MAGA hat on that got attacked by, I don't know who it was, some protesters, and some native fella out of the States that claimed to be a VA vet that wasn't a VA vet, that, you know, claimed that the kid was insulting him. The kid didn't do anything. The kid looked embarrassed. He was standing, I don't know what that kid was supposed to do, but getting on the court case, how they kind of just dismissed it. You see, we don't write any of this stuff, okay? The legal society writes stuff, and the legal society maintains their position on stuff. And whatever, like, if you say you created a board game, or, you know, or created a, let's say, a hotel, or a getaway or something, right? Say you're the creator or something, the author of something, okay? Then you make the rules and the mandate over your creation. And therefore, because you are the author, you are the creator, you can also break the rules. You can change the rules, because it's within your power. It's under your dictatorship, your authority. And so this is why I disrespect the all the Canadian constitutions, because they're just words on paper. And so if the society or a person of the society that created this crap, they can turn around and ignore the crap. They can change the rules. They can ignore the rules, and we've seen it with the man-child Trudeau. We've seen it straight up. Like, why doesn't the ethics commissioner, the man or woman who holds that office, why don't they have any real teeth to actually bring forth a wrongdoer that holds office, actually, you know, haul them up on the carpet, as they say in the military, to answer before the people, or at least before those who pretend to present the people to the parliament. Like none of these MPs have to present you to parliament, or present your community to parliament, because there's no rule that forces them to. What they do have to do within that democratic society, that legal society, that government society, is they have to do what they're told by the leader of the party within that democracy. And if they don't, then they're tossed out, they're lambasted, their good names are besmirched if they have a good name. There's not too many politicians with good names. You know, you and I, for instance, if we were to pull even the most minor crap that these guys pull, you and I would have a criminal record, and then we wouldn't be able to, run for office and so on and so forth because of that. They, on the other hand, because they're part of the establishment, and the establishment made the rules, they don't have to answer to you. Okay, they don't have to answer to the people. They don't have to answer to this nation. And that's why I look at, this stuff as crap. And first off, it's not de jure. Like, we didn't write it, all right? We didn't agree to it. We didn't vote on it. We didn't do anything with it. It was just given down and saying, and there's so many young folks that say, oh, yeah, no, we broke away. We have our own constitution. No, we don't have our own constitution. So, a lot of trickery in these legal documents, as I was pointing out last time that I was speaking. You always have to watch for pronouns in this stuff, okay? Because once you're using a pronoun, then you limit things within a box, right? And adjectives are another thing you got to watch. I don't know if our kids are taught that stuff in public school anymore. Or what am I saying, public? There's nothing public about the school, except for it's a Crown corporate school funded by the public for your kids to be dumbed down, brainwashed, and kept in the dark. So I was saying to myself this morning, okay, now you have this jurisdictional area called Canada, right? And the jurisdiction of Canada basically flies over the second largest nation of the world called Canada. And now, if I wanted to take that over, how would I do it? How would I take that away from the people? Say if I was a Lex Luthor, a world dominator. Well, first off, I would get some sellouts in there. Let's get and raise some sellouts. Now you got to remember that the folks that run this planet pretty much, or at least on the free world side, well, pretty much, they had planned things ahead for generations after generations. Like, they didn't plan for themselves for the immediate dirty now and now, okay, the by and by, the dirty now and now. They planned for the future, for the grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, so that they could take over and be the slavers of the world. So, this has been going on for a lot of generations over our nation. And at first it's like, okay, look, man, this is a common law land, this is a Judeo-Christian country. The basic rules is you're not allowed to harm another man, right? Man to man. There's a duty, responsibility, and obligation within mankind to cause no harm, loss, or injury to your fellow man. So, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll call those folks over there Indians. Well, then they're not part of mankind. And what they are is they are a creation of the establishment, and therefore they run under our authority, which is a dictator, our dictatorship. And so when we, take their kids away and put them in residential schools and mentally and physically abuse, so they don't know who they are, so they're not recognizable to their customs and their common law of their people, and so they get abused, so they're not recognizable anymore as the original peoples of this land. What else can we do? Well, let's call it the Great Experiment, and let's do to those persons, because that's what you are, as an Indian, a treaty Indian, Aboriginal. It's just a person. It's a personhood. So you're acting as, and then you're standing in that place. You're using your body as a man. Okay, you're using your man as security of that person. So when they come after that person, they can tax or use that body. It's a type of slavery through your person to the man. I hope I explained that kind of clear. But yeah, so this is the trickery they use, because slavery is outlawed on this land in all its forms. So, okay, so we got all these different persons, all these enactments, acts and legislation over all these persons, because we have authority over these persons, because we created all these persons, right? Now, the intent was put out to create these different persons to the benefit of mankind on this land, right? And so what they've done over the years, over the generations, is they've twisted it around. Instead of being a benefit of mankind, they're now the person, and it now benefits the creation, the establishment that we allowed to be created or help create. And I noticed a number of Native folks, what did they say recently? You know, we're not drinking the Kool-Aid, the government Kool-Aid anymore. And I don't blame them, man, because they've been set in poverty. So everything I see them doing now through, oh yeah, okay, so the takeover. So you get your sellouts in government, and you get them generational. And what you do is you make sure they go to all the highest schools, get all the accredited stuff. They don't have to actually work for a living for the most part. You know, once they get on the dole, the public dole, which is basically what it is, and the expense account, then they create themselves a lifestyle that they feel entitled to, because they know better than you. They know better than you because they went to this school and they got this accreditation, that accreditation. And personally, I just don't see these folks in the federal government as accredited for the people. I don't recognize, I don't accreditate them to be lording over my life and coming into my personal life and my privacy or my property. They have the guns though, and once they get rid of your guns, hey, they're going to use all the city folks. Hey, we're going to go after all those assault-looking rifles. You know, whatever. But that's the first thing they do. Hey, so we're taking over okay, how do we take over? Well, we got to create a problem. Now, what are the walls that interfere with a nation being taken by wrongdoers? Well, here's the wall. Well, the people are too free. All right, they can forage on the land. The land is so full of riches and minerals that, you know, everybody has a right to go access if somebody else doesn't have a claim on something. This is why we call them claims. But if somebody else doesn't have a claim on something, then you can claim it, and then you have the right to access that natural resource. So the few people had the resources of the land. Now, the resources are very hard to get, and it takes a lot of energy to get at our resources, and it takes a lot of expense to get. So there has to be ingenuity for the average, those of mankind, the average man, to be able to create and access. And the other thing is, well, there's too many people on family farms. You know, like if people can grow their own food and not owe any debt, they're not in debt, they're not enslaved to the monetary system, then they're a little too free. So why don't we create something that breaks up the family farm and takes people away from the natural resources? Well, what can we do? Well, what we can do is we can create some kind of economic engine in the cities, and we'll get the people off the land and we'll get them into the cities. And that way we can separate the people from nature, because once the people are separated from nature, then they don't really have an understanding. And with these corporate crown schools that are publicly funded, we can twist, like we can abuse their thought pattern, their thought process, to just basically just basically to believe and obey what we tell them, because of course, you know, we are the PhD ones. We are the ones of the higher learning. We know better, even though we've never actually had to work or you know, live off the land, or, you know, but we read books, and we write the books that we read as well. So we can write the books, we can train these young minds to think in a different aspect. Well, yeah, but how can they do that? Nobody's going to buy that, because people think for themselves. I mean, you know, people are basically self-governing, and they have a good thought process. People aren't stupid. Well, what we have to do is we have to inch into it slowly. So, you know, so what we need to do then is, okay, we'll create an economic boom in the cities. We'll get the people off the land. Now we'll get them a little ignorant of nature and who mankind is as part of nature. Then what else we can do is we can create some kind of problem, you know, some kind of detrimental problem within the slum. Well, what do you mean? Well, you see, the people have too much authority over themselves, and the people that are of and from this land, you know, belong to this land and are part of this land. But, you know, if we give corporations certain rights as persons, then what we can do is we can get the people out of the countryside, get them off the natural resources, and then we'll allow the corporations to boom. You know, we'll allow the corporations to boom. We'll get them and then we'll allow them to, like, rape and pillage and expropriate property, and so that'll create a little depression on the countryside. That'll help get more people, and then that'll get more people working for the corporation, so they'll support the corporation that's destroying the property, this land, and then we can create a big problem. And so, okay, so everybody's now dependent on the corporations within the city and without the city. Wow, that's a good idea. Then they won't like the people that live in the country. Well, that's right. We can create a division between the city folk and the country folk. Oh, yeah, but the country folk, I mean, they're self-sufficient, man. These people invent things, they weld things, they create things, they grow food, you know, they hunt and they fish. And, well, you know, what we'll do is we'll start handing out licenses. We'll start calling them hunters, and we'll make a persona, you know, a personhood out of that. And then we can get authority over these people so that they have to obey certain rules. We'll come out with an unconstitutional law that, you know, the feds have really no authority over, which is gun laws, and we'll create gun laws, and so that way we can really, you know, work our agenda from the top down and force, you know, the provinces. I mean, the provinces, besides Quebec, the provinces aren't sovereign anyways. I mean, we made a constitution for BC, the legal society, but Alberta doesn't even have a constitution. They're still running on the intent of their common law, the unspoken laws of mankind that give them their freedom. So we can just, hey, they're just a baby corporation to us. We can just rule them the way we wish. Oh, Saskatchewan doesn't have one either? Oh, we can do that to Saskatchewan as well. Yeah, that's just part of our corporation. These guys are just lower level executives of our corporation. So, all right, so we got all these persons. Okay, we got every aspect of every man and woman's life boxed in here. Now, we can't actually come up with slavery, because slavery is outlawed on this land in all its forms. But we can use all these personas to entrap people, to trick people. And now that we've dumbed them down at school, and we've taken grammar away and phonics away, and we don't even encourage reading, writing anymore, and that's great. Yeah, we can really dumb them down. Yeah, all we need to do is we just need to get them smart enough, or to think they're smart enough, and to sign their name to things. Yeah, but isn't there 2 signatures on a contract? Well, no, we just create these contracts and we force them to sign. Well, you can't force somebody to sign. No, but we can sure harass, torment them and abuse them until they do sign. In fact, we do love using extortion. Nobody ever calls the legal society on extortion because we're allowed to extort the person because it's in our mandate, it's in our rules. We're allowed to do whatever we wish to the person that we have authority over or dictatorship over. So they can't even bitch about it. They can take it to court, but we've made court so hard to get into, it's so expensive, that they have to hire somebody from our legal profession, from the legal society, which is a self-governing society. So they got their rules, right? We just make sure the legal society has the right rules so that they work for us. So that when these dumbed down people with a basic grade 8 education, because we got to make sure they get grade 8, so that they, that's where you're competent to sign your name to these one signature contracts. Oh, I see. We can entrap them. Yes, we can entrap them, and we'll do it by their consent. We'll get them to consent to everything, right? Yeah, and if they don't consent, we'll just take their property. We'll take their property. We'll throw them in jail. Court's too expensive. They won't be able to fight us at court. We'll just make sure that courts expand. We'll make sure that we have people in black robes that maintain the legal society and attack the little people. Yes, yes. Why should that little person stand up or try and take us to court? I mean, we have crown immunity. Oh yeah, we have crown immunity. Yeah, we're not naked as mankind. We're protected by our entitles, our entitlements, our privileges. Okay. Okay. So what else can we do? Oh, we can create chaos. Well, how's that? Well, everybody's sucked in, to the mainstream media, and everybody's used to being told what to think and what to do and how to do it. That we'll just hit them with Hitler-style propaganda over and over and over and over and over again. That the world's coming to an end and the sky is falling in. We don't have to prove our side. We don't have to prove anything because we have all the guns. Oh, so we can just browbeat them. Browbeat them, browbeat them, browbeat them. In fact, our puppet masters are going to finance it through, they're going to finance this stuff through non-profit charities and organizations, right, to come in and then we can buy off a bunch of people as professional protesters. We can buy off these stupid Indians that are now been drinking our Kool-Aid for so long that their mindset is prisoner of war camps and children of the state, which is what we got to do to the white man too. Well, I don't know if everybody's going to buy that. Well, it's going to take generations. Well, yeah, but people are, pretty secure in who they are, and people know that their home is their castle, and no one has a right to enter their property unless, there's a bonded warrant signed off by a judge. Well, we'll stop putting the bonds with the warrants, and we'll just start shooting the warrants out. And then what we'll do is we'll make some laws because everybody's dumbed down, and we'll do reverse onus, and we'll say, well, you're guilty until proven innocent on certain things, and we'll make sure it's a heinous sounding subject so that the people don't get upset with it. Like, okay, we'll do it with drugs. We'll make sure drugs, yeah, reverse onus. Oh, well, okay, well, we can really promote drinking and driving. I mean, there is a lot of deaths from drinking and driving, and it is wrong, to go out and kill somebody, because you're intoxicated and don't have the good sense not to drive. So what we'll do is we'll really press on that because everybody's relying on their vehicles, and we'll press on that, and then we'll get rid of unreasonable search and seizure. We'll have everybody register those vehicles, and now they're part of our public store, and we actually are first owners of all their vehicles. Because a vehicle isn't a property. A vehicle is government-owned property. First ownership it belongs to the government with these vehicles because they're registered and part of our public store. And not only that, we can borrow money on what everybody slaves for and registers. We can borrow money on it from our puppet masters, and then turn around and we'll give these guys certain ownership rights of their own property, but we don't call it property because then we don't have authority over it. What we'll do is we'll call it a vehicle, a motor vehicle, and that way we got them right there. Oh, so if I got this right, we're going to create prosperity, and then we're going to turn things around so that the prosperity engine turns out to be a monster, and then we'll start attacking our own monster that we created to start taking away the prosperity once people are off the land and dumbed down, and then we can create more chaos by this magical, invisible pseudoscience propaganda, so everybody thinks the end of the earth's coming, and then we'll have people hating people because people will now look at each other as pollutants rather than as a unique creation of this creation. Yeah, exactly. And then we won't stop there. What we'll do is we'll just flood. We'll flood because, this property over here that they call Canada, within that nation of Canada, I mean, that's vastly rich, man. If we can get a hold of that, we can control the world. And so we already got Africa. Oh, Africa's torn. They got no organization, man. We got our guys in China going in and buying that place up now. Russia's still a bit of a problem, but we'll get Canada. I mean, these people are just all dumbed down anyway. So, they're all dumbed down. They all hate each other now. We've really got our preachers of the environment in there. We got our preachers of native rights in there. We've got our preachers of black and white in there. Everybody needs to hate everybody, and it's working like a charm. And now we'll get our little puppet to give over, say, I don't know, like they owe us a lot of money. I mean, they owe a lot of debt, so per person. So what we'll do is we'll get them to create sanctuary, but it has to be on the waterways because, I mean, land without water doesn't really make sense, does it? And we can't create new land adjoining water. So let's start calling in our tickets on these guys, on their debts, and let's get 25-30% of all Canada's land adjoining any kind of water, and we'll just expropriate it from these folks, just like they did during the charter days of the Hudson's Bay Company, unless there's a map, but nobody knows they're part of mankind, so we don't really have to. They just have to take what we give them if they're there, and it doesn't matter if they're native folks or if they're white folks or black folks, it just doesn't matter. It's for the greater good. It's for the world. And that way we'll have all those natural resources in reserve for ourselves. And then, maybe down the road we'll create a war, we'll get rid of a bunch of people, and we'll just keep enough people around to, say, manage our natural resources for us. We'll keep enough slaves going. I mean, people in servitude, no, that's a bad word. We'll keep a certain number of persons of people kind around so that they can manicure and make sure that we have enough industry to keep ourselves in luxury, and kind of like they do in third world countries where tourism is big, say like Mexico, where everybody lives in a tin shack, but they work at these 5-star hotels, that kind of thing. Those are great plans, man. They're working out so good. Wow, I never thought about it that way. Yeah, well, this is a multi-generational plan. Now, the good thing is the prairies doesn't have a constitution. There's no constitution in these provinces. These provinces aren't sovereign. The people of these provinces aren't sovereign. We got their ass, man. We can do whatever we wish to them, right? And they'll have their, we'll have our other guys in there, and they'll be going, oh, you can't do that to us, and we're going to fight, fight, fight. Yeah, it's all smoke and mirrors, man. Nothing will happen because we own their ass too. Wow. Wow. Well, yeah. Wow. And this is why it's so important for Saskatchewan and Alberta to do a constitutional constitutional conferences. Get a constitution done. And what I would do is, if it was me, which it will be, but